Hey everyone, it's Agent in Norway here, and today in this video I will give you some tips and advice on public transport in Norway, mainly in Oslo. These are small tips that you can find useful to save money on public transport, and it's for people who are going to visit Norway for a few weeks or people who are actually going to stay in Norway for a longer period. The first thing you need to know is that taxi in Norway is extremely expensive. Even people in Norway, we complain about it. For example, let's say that you are going to take a taxi all the way from the airport and into the city Oslo. The prices for that will be around, I think, 700 kroners, and in the US dollars that's like $90, and in euro that's like 80 euros. So it's incredibly expensive. I do not advise that. People who are not used to the price in Norway, because everything is expensive, and taxi is one of the most expensive things in Norway. So a lot of people might assume that, how can this be so expensive? This might be a scam. The truth is, this is not a scam. That's how the regular prices are. So what I will advise you to is take the bus, please. Because if you're gonna take a taxi all the way from the airport into the city, that's gonna take a huge chunk out of your travel budget. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is the public transport in Oslo. It is very convenient, and you definitely won't be needing a taxi here, because that's a lot of waste of money if you do that. The tickets you buy here are universal. It will cover for subway, trams, and buses. If you're staying in Oslo for 1 week, I would recommend you to buy the 7-day tickets that cost around 240 kroners. And if you're gonna stay in for 3 weeks or longer, then I recommend you to buy the 30-day tickets, which is 690 kroners for adults. If you're gonna be studying in Norway, the 30-day tickets prices are 414 kroners. And you need to bring your student ID with you, of course. And make sure to bring it all the time, because there are security guards everywhere and they're just popping out of nowhere. Because you won't be able to see them, since they are dressed like just like everyone else. Until they approach you and say this: "Show me your ticket." Yeah, maybe that was a little bit over dramatic. Sorry. Anyways, if you don't have a valid ticket on board, you can get a fine on 700 kroners, and that's very expensive. You can buy the tickets on almost every store you can find, such as 7-Eleven, Norwegian, and Deli de Luca. Now, I have seen a lot of tourists make this mistake. They go up to the bus to buy the tickets instead of doing it in a store, because one, buying the tickets in the bus is a little bit more expensive than in the store, and two, they buying a ticket that only lasts for 1 hour, and that's one of the most expensive tickets you can probably find. I mean, they paying 40 kroners for a ticket that only lasts for 1 hour, and that's not very cost effective. If they are spending the whole day in Oslo just to sightseeing, I recommend people to pay 90 kroners for a ticket that lasts 24 hours. That's a lot more convenient and cheaper. And on the tram and subway, you won't be able to physically buy any tickets. So if you just went into the tram or subway without any valid tickets, and all of a sudden a bunch of security guards coming in, then the only way for you to getting out of the fine is to actually downloading this app right here and buy a ticket right away. Or else, it's like in horror movies, like you stay in the middle, you're trapped by zombies, you're doomed. The fine will get you. The last tip about public transport in Oslo is the tram. Traffic in general in Norway are very safe. The drivers respect the red lights and they respect the pedestrian crossings. If they see people walking by, they will immediately stop, even there's no police or no witness. However, all the vehicles in Norway are obligated to stop when they see a crossing sign and when they see people walking, except for the tram. The tram has a special rule, and that's kind of the opposite. For example, they are allowed to drive by the crossings and the people have to wait for them to drive by first. I guess the reason why is because the tram is slow compared to the buses, so if they have to stop on crossings all the time, it wouldn't be very productive for the whole system. So when you see a tram, just please be careful and wait for it to drive by before you walk over. And if you don't know about this, it's not because the driver is a jerk, because that's how the rules are. thank you for watching this video. I put the link in the description about how the prices in Norway, or pretty much everything you need to know about public transport in Oslo, and it's in English. So stay tuned for more videos coming up about travel tips in Norway. Bye!